Once upon a time, in a place far, far away, somewhere in South America it's rumored, there was a little fishing village, and this is where Conquistador got his name. It was a fishing village where fish feared him, and women loved him. Loved him. And so in the next episodes, we build a lure to celebrate and commemorate the man they call Conquistador. G'day folks, Greg Budd from Bud's Baits here. Welcome to the African Lure Craftsman. So guys, this is my Woodstock. So what we have here is American poplar, jelutong. Most of this is actually jelutong, American poplar, and then I have some unique little pieces of wood. Let's hope this doesn't all fall on us, which it probably will, which is from a window frame from a 100-year-old house, and they were redoing the house, and I saw them throwing away these massive pieces of timber, which I don't know what they are, but it's fantastic, very tight-grained wood, and I basically rescued it all, cut it into these small manageable bits, and there's piles of it here, as you can see. So what I'm going to be doing with that is I've been asked to do a commemorative lure for a guide friend of mine who's got a client coming out from the States, and I'm going to be using this piece of wood to manufacture from scratch a freestyle stick bait with a theme. Another thing I've got here, and you might be wondering why a little obscure half log is sitting there, but that is actually jacaranda wood. Jacaranda is also fantastic lure wood. It gives me an allergy, so I'm trying to avoid it, but it's a fantastic lure wood. Very tight grained, as you can see, and it's got a very good buoyancy ratio, so that you can make good poppers and stick baits and things like that. But this piece of wood here it's here for another reason, and it's something we'll be showing you later, which is a bonding hack for gluing wires into stick baits, poppers and other lures. I've taken the measures to cut it already, and we've extracted this lovely little block of wood. It's a 165 long, just to show you where it came from, and we're going to build our freestyle lure on that block of wood there. Let me put this away here. Now what I do straight away is I'll shape the block to the size of lure I want, and then I'll do a rough sketch of what I want. During this video, you're going to hopefully learn quite a few hacks that I use to give a sense of realism to my lures, and simplify the process as well. So I'll put that straight on the piece of paper, and I'll just draw around it just to give us the size we want. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And we've basically got a square on our piece of paper. Then I'm going to design my lure inside this piece of paper, going from the nose here, roughly midpoint. I always like a curved back, obviously, dropping the tail to roughly the same point as the nose. We'll round that a bit. We will go with a deeper curve to a belly point. We will take that belly up, and in a little bit of a concave curve we'll go up to the tail. That's not quite right, but this is the beauty about drawing it first. You can always adjust it. Doesn't have to be perfect until you get the shape you desire. So I'm going to bring that tail down further, and that's looking better already. And that is our basic minnow shape for our stick bait there. So basically the principles behind this shape of lure is, from my personal experience, what I've found swims better. I have a patented flat back design normally. The flat back on the lure, you can't see it here on the drawing obviously, but the flat back on the lure creates different actions in the water. The way I weight the lure will create a flutter when the lure is on the drop, This will be a sinking stick bait, obviously, and that also depends on where the weight is. Obviously, if the weight's further forward, the flutter won't be as accentuated as if the weight is more in the middle. I've always found with lures, particularly with swimming lures, not just stick baits that you have to incorporate the action with your rod or your rod tip, I've always found with swimming lures that there's a small trade-off between placement of weight and your castability. Your placement of weight, if you want a swimming lure, the more forward it is, the better. If you tend to put your weight in the back there, it's back heavy, it drops, it won't have any sort of swimmability or swimming fashion. You'll wind it to the rod tip and it might stay belly down in the water, but it'll just do its own thing. That's a normal stick bait. But of course, the further back the weight is, the better it'll cast. I find it's a fair trade-off, because normally if you place the weight forward in the lure, you'll still get a good cast, and if you've noticed, you'll find that most times you cast, the lure turns face forward anyway, or weight foot forward, and it'll go against the wind and cut the wind anyway. So that's where we're starting on here. I'm going to now put my hook points and my toe points on here. So obviously there'll be a back toe point. Going to look at the belly midway. I always go slightly forward of midway, and we can alter that as we go along as well. And then I've learned through experience, never put one straight on the front, particularly if you want to swimming. Just go slightly below the chin, and that'll be where our weight, our toe and hook points will be. The second thing, or the third thing I'll do on this is now draw in the facial details, and this is very important and a very important aspect of a hack I'm going to show you to get detailed 3D effects regarding face and fins on lures. First thing I'll do is start with a small mouth, which we have there. I'll then go to our eye. Eyes on lures I like to make very, very big, and it's for a reason, and I think that one of the strike triggers in any lure fishing, personally, I think, is a big eye, a big noticeable eye. It kind of looks like a startled baitfish, something panicking and leaving. So I'll make these eyes relatively big but still realistic. And remember, we're just doing a rough here, and that'll be the eye of the lure. The mouth, remember, always goes and joins into the gill structure. So the gill structure we're going to put around here, and we're going to do a double gill on this, or maybe even a triple. Something like that. The fin towards the belly, and we'll do just a basic fin type shape. And there we have it, our basic lure design done, the beginnings of Conquistador. Okay, the next step is we need to get this image onto some tracing paper so we can transfer it to the block of wood. Everyone knows how to do that. Wouldn't worry about the details at the moment, but keep your drawing, obviously, because that's going to come in handy later. Okay, so we've now traced our baitfish profile onto the block of wood. There we have it there, and we are basically ready to shape. Of course, now we've got to understand something. We need to have a shape on the back, but it's pointless putting any tracing on there at the moment, because in the shaping we're just going to lose it. So once we've got these edges cut off, we will then do a shape on the back, which we'll shape on our sander as well, our belt sander. We are now at our sander, our belt disc sander, and this little piece of equipment is probably the holy grail of every freestyle lure crafter's workshop. Great bit of machinery this, and very necessary to take out the difficulties with hand crafting these, although it always ends up with a rasp or sandpaper doing the final work. This gets rid of most of the material, the excess material, very quickly. So we're just going to cut out that shape now, and we're going to do it a flat shape so we can then do the curvature from the top of the lure. So always remember that it's probably safe to wear a mask using these. Sawdust isn't good. For the purposes of what I'm doing, I'm not even sitting at the right angle, but for the purposes of the camera, I have to do this. But wear a mask and be very careful with these pieces of equipment, because they can cause some serious damage. Use what they've given you here. So I'm using this as my right angle. I'm getting the curves flat, so that if you look at them, they are all perfectly formed. I'll fix that one up now, and we just want to get that basic shape. We've got the basic shape now. It's not perfect, but we don't need it to be. We've just got rid of the excess material. Now what we can do is we can form our topographical shape on the lure, the top shape on the lure. So, I hope you have enjoyed the beginnings of the build of this lure. We've taken you through the inception and design and the beginning of the shaping. In the next video, we'll continue the shaping and take the lure towards its final conclusion.